Hi, now this is part 2 and I'm going now straightly to the next question. What makes a good martial artist? Well, a good martial artist, if I'm going to put it this way, is a kitchen knife. Yes. And I choose that analogy because it really explains a whole lot for me on what a martial artist is, instead of just plainly putting it into a simple type of explanation. A kitchen knife, when you use it in the kitchen, it really helps you chop off all of the ingredients that you want in a good food, which what makes a delicious food is in the kitchen. So that's what the kitchen knife does when you're cooking. But when you really are in danger or your life is threatened, your kitchen knife becomes a weapon, a really, really deadly weapon. And you could choose to use the blade part of it, or you could choose the wooden part of it, although most people will use the blade part. And you could really use the kitchen knife to defend yourself. Now, a martial artist is like that. In times of peace, a martial artist is just a normal citizen, helping a whole lot of people, just being a law abider, and just being a normal citizen in everyday life, not really causing harm to a whole lot of people, if not the majority of the people. But when the time comes for that martial artist to really defend him or herself, then that's the time they could use their martial arts. The reason I said that for a kitchen knife you could use the bladed part or the wooden part is because you could either choose to use your martial arts techniques to take a life, or you could just use your martial arts techniques to just defend your life and everyone else's lives within your circle or your close circle. You also want to protect your assailant if you're going to choose the wooden part. And so that's how I see a good martial artist is. Okay, next question. Can anyone learn MA by themselves using the internet? If yes, why is it a good method for training? The real concern here is if a person solely and purely focus on training just using the internet without going to a formal dojo, there are a whole lot of bad aspects on that. And first and foremost is there's no formal teacher to really say if the form or the technique that that person is doing is wrong or right. And second is they can't really ask the questions that they want to ask to the instructor if their form is right or if their technique is right, and or how to do the right way of doing the technique. And so solo training using the internet can only give you a specific amount of training, so it really just helps you understand the basics and helps you understand on how to do the techniques, and really helps you remember how to do them properly. And it's really, really better to study in a formal dojo first, and then combine that with martial arts training using the YouTube videos or using the internet to help really solidify your martial arts training. So personally, I could say is formal dojo is way better because all of the formal training is there, and YouTube training, doing solo training, is just supplementary. So that's just me. There you go. And that also answers the questions, benefits of going to a formal dojo. Now, favorite martial art techniques or drills. My favorite martial art technique would be doing the Heaven Six when I'm doing solo training, and doing a whole lot of kicks, because before I wasn't really flexible. No, seriously, I wasn't really flexible. For those people out there who knew that I was flexible way before, I wasn't. I really trained hard and I really worked hard on being really, really flexible, and to really gain my flexibility up until now. In fact, I'm not that flexible enough yet to do some of the kicks that I can't do. So yeah, that's why kicks are my favorite techniques, or one of my favorite techniques to do or practice. Heaven six is because doing them in a whole lot of ways really opens my eyes in doing offense and defense simultaneously and interchangeably. It really helps me understand on how or when to change gears whenever I'm going to the offense or whenever I'm going to the defense. I also practice a whole lot of teacup exercise because it really helps uh, my upper body be more fluid, and really also maintains the fluidity and the mobility of all of my joints, from my back, from my backbone to my shoulders, elbows and wrist, all the joints. And yeah, and those are also one of the drills that I do. And the workout that I do consists of three parts: the upper body, which is divided into two. So there are two kinds of upper body training that I do. And the last is the lower body, which are legs. Now, for the two upper body, I divide them into two further. One is the front and one is the back. So I choose a day, say Monday, and I'm going to do abs and back. So I train the abs right here, the core, and my back. And because of that, I do most of my basic boxing, shadow boxing on that day, because I practice doing my rotations, core rotations and abs, and then I do some pull-ups for my back to strengthen my punches. And the second half would be doing my triceps, basically arms, and my chest. And what this does, it really helps me practice most of my strength training. So it really helps me strengthen my arms and strengthen my chest, as well as really conditioning my arms and my forearms, my shoulders, because those are the main tools of the martial artists, mainly these hands. And the third part, lastly, is the lower body, and you've guessed it, it's the legs. And this is a suggestion from me for those for all martial artists out there. Set a day for stretching, and I mean seriously, set a day once a week for stretching, and it really helps. It not only makes you more flexible all around with your whole body as a martial artist, but it also helps you maintain the flexibility that you have and improve the flexibility that you have from there, in order for you to continue to practice martial arts. One of my Bagwazang instructors, one of my instructors that I practice with, practices Bagwazang in one of the classes that I attended to. And he said a really, really good thing, in that if you really want to further practice martial arts, you really have to maintain your flexibility, especially from your lower back up until at the neck. Because if you can't, if you're not really flexible on your lower back up until the neck, you're basically rigid, and you really aren't that mobile for you to do all of the techniques, which at some point really need some kind of flexibility. And so that's the reason why I train a whole day. I set a whole day for doing stretching, and that's also the day where I do my kicks, since I basically stretch my whole legs as well as my lower back. So that's my workout routine. And if some of you find that good and beneficial for you, then great. If not, then I hope that you could at least see that there are really benefits in really setting one day, once a week, for doing stretching. Just stretching, plainly stretching. If you can do kicks with that stretching, then good. But just setting one day for a week for stretching is really, really a huge help, and really greatly help you in flexibility, in your flexibility. So, like that. What makes an ideal student for MA? And what does MA give you as an asset? A great student is being open-minded. Period. It doesn't matter what kind of student of a martial art is. It doesn't matter what kind of martial art the student is practicing, as long as the student is open-minded, humble, and is willing to learn. If a student is close-minded, that student will never learn. Period. So that's that. And the greatest asset that I think martial art would give a person is not flexibility, not greatness in techniques, but confidence. Reason being is, in order for you to be a really good citizen, you must know between right and wrong, right? And you really don't want to be just bully and being bossed around. And so, as a martial artist, having the knowledge of a whole lot of techniques to hurt a person is a really huge help for you to just stay calm in tight situations and to just be confident out there about yourself, to face people, not really stoop down, but you just face people with confidence, with chin up, and that you can talk to people normally, and that you could befriend a whole lot of people around you. So that's what I think martial arts give as a great asset. Well, martial arts makes me happy as a person because I can do a whole lot of things in martial arts that I can't do before. I can't do a kick. I've lost a whole lot of weight. And I also gained what I said earlier, confidence. And it might be surprising to some, but martial arts also is one of the reasons why public speaking isn't that fearful for me anymore. If it weren't for martial arts, I would not be able to publicly speak. I would not be able to be in a podium in front of hundreds of people doing a speech. And through martial arts, that really helped a whole lot. Really a whole lot. And so that cuts for it for part 2. And we're now going to the next video, which is part 3. So, up until here.